Hello, I'm David Nelson. Welcome to Newsmax. My next guest needs no introduction. Larry Kudlow is a leader in both the political and economic community. He served under President Reagan as Associate Director in the OMB. He was Chief Economist at Bear Stearns. He is a nationally syndicated columnist and, of course, host of the popular CNBC show, The Kudlow Report. Larry joins us by phone from New York. Larry, welcome. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Larry, let me take the conversation to Washington. It's been a busy week in D.C. Of course, we had DOMA. The Supreme Court has now ruled. And, I don't want to debate really the social implications here, but there is definitely a financial outcome. And it was on your show, I believe a guest pointed out that if same-sex couples now will start to receive federal benefits as a guarantee, this case was about $353,000. You put a multiple on that, we could be talking about a lot of money. Are states and the federal government ready for this?
I don't think there's going to be a lot of money involved, by the way. I don't agree with that. The CBO did an estimate of this a couple of years ago, and it came out to, something like 0.1% of GDP. These are not big sums. Probably the biggest area is gift taxes and estate taxes. In fact, the woman who won the lawsuit is, I think, scheduled to receive something like $300,000 in gift taxes. But I don't think that's really much of an issue. I also think it's very confusing right now regarding federal benefits. If you move from a same-sex state to a non-same-sex state, what happens? I don't think anybody knows that yet. So it's all very complicated. But I would just say generically, whether you're talking Social Security benefits, whether you're talking income taxes, whether you're talking gift and estate taxes, I just don't think this is a huge financial event. We did cover it last night as a financial event because we are CNBC, and we didn't go into the social ramifications and so forth, but I don't think it's a big number.
You mentioned the fact that, moving from one state to the other, and that could be an issue. And it seems like the court is not giving any guidance here.
Right.
Will they have to rule again?
Well, they may. Or else, the local courts or the federal district courts are going to have to rule again. Yes, I don't think the whole ball of wax was settled yesterday. I'm no expert. I'm not a judicial guy. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a constitutional guy. But I think it was not all settled yesterday. Let me leave it at that.
A lot of corporations have been ahead of the curve on this and have been offering same-sex benefits for some time.
Yes.
Does this ruling now set the stage for the rest of corporate America to come on board here and start changing the benefits package?
Well, that could be. Carly Fiorina, who was my guest host last night, former CEO of HP, thought that was the case and thought that companies had been ahead of the government. And she knows better than I do. So I think the short answer to that is yes. These are private companies, so they should be able to do what they want. Again, I don't know if that bumps into these, conflicts between federal and state law regarding marriage. I don't know, but it seems to me a private company shouldn't have a problem with that.
Larry, the other big news, of course, this week is the immigration bill in the Senate. And now that the security package, or rather the security amendment, has been added on, I believe it's about $46 billion in added security, more agents. They'll be building the fence. I believe tens of thousands of agents will be added. Now it looks like the vote could actually come within days. They'd like to do this before the July 4th recess. Larry, you've been way out in front on this, and you've been saying that immigration reform is pro-growth.
Yes.
And an actual quote is, "It's not about dollars and cents; it's about the soul of a nation."
Yes. Yes.
Does this have any chance of passing the House?
That's a good question. I don't know that I can answer that. I was watching my friend Paul Ryan last night on the Hannity show, and I know Paul is working hard for immigration reform. The House is probably going to come up with some of its own ideas. I don't think it's going to buy into the omnibus Senate package. And look, I think that, again, I believe immigration reform, if done properly, is pro-growth. I also think it's consistent with border security. I mean, the current system of border security and visas is completely broken, as you know. So I think that if you do this reform properly, you're going to help border security. And I want, as Ronald Reagan, I worked for Ronald Reagan I'm a disciple of Jack Kemp. I think you know that. My view is America should always be a shining city on the hill. And I think we should be an example of freedom and economic freedom and political freedom, and people want to come here, they should be able to come here. Having said that, the whole bloody system broke down. And so we have tremendous controversies going on inside the Republican Party and elsewhere. I believe this is fixable. I think the Senate bill moved the ball in the right direction. Okay, is it perfect? No. Do I understand every page of it? Heck no, I sure don't. But it sounds to me, between beefing up border security, improving the visa system, all the various verification issues, keeping them off entitlements for a good many years, but then legalizing them, getting the immigrants out of the shadows, as Paul Ryan said last night. And these are all good things. And I think we need a larger labor force in the U.S. You know, this is important for growth. If you take a look at the numbers, not only has the labor force participation rate been falling for many years, but the actual size of the American labor force has stopped growing. Now, there are many reasons for that, and I'm not sure I understand every one of them. But what I'm saying is, if you want long-term economic growth in this country, like 3.5% long-run growth, you got to have good productivity, and you got to have a rising labor force. And that's why I think we can put legal immigrants to work, whether they're what I call the brainiacs or whether they're the lower income wage people in agriculture and retailing. I think that'll help our country to grow. It ultimately becomes a job creator. And yes, it ultimately helps solve the deficit and the entitlements.
Larry, we only have 30 seconds left, and there's a political outcome to this as well. And you said that if this dies in the House, it would be very bad for the Republican Party going forward, and that winning back the Hispanic vote. How important is that to the 2014 midterm elections and, of course, the presidential election in 2016?
Well, I think it's very important. I think it's extremely important. I don't think you do this just to get votes. I want to just say that. I think you do this on principle, and I think you do this on border security and economic growth principles, if you follow me. But yes, politically, I think the Republican Party has to show the immigrant community, that's including Asians, Latinos, Hispanics, everybody, that they are open to this, that this is a different GOP, and that many of the prior statements are going to be erased, and that the GOP will be a welcoming party. So yes, there is a political dimension to it, and I'd like the Republicans to get with the drill.
Larry, we're out of time. We're going to have to leave it right there. Thank you so much for being with us today.
My great pleasure.
We've been talking with Larry Kudlow, host of CNBC's The Kudlow Report. Thanks for joining. I'm David Nelson for Newsmax.